we bring Ric Bucher on, Fox Sports NBA guy. So, we both know Marcus Thompson. He reported that, Steph, Clay, Draymond have been given a heads up on, the Kevin Durant stuff. They've communicated with him. I do believe if you gave him a screaming deal and I could do Wiseman and Wiggins, you'd have to explore it. You'd have to look at it. But I don't think I'm not blowing up the franchise. I'm not giving you Moody, Wiseman. I'm not doing that. Where do you think the Warriors and KD, Rick, in your opinion, are at this moment?
The Warriors would explore this. There's no question. They don't leave any door closed. Even after the relationship went sour with Kevin Durant, but it went sour on KD's end of things. It's not as if the Warriors didn't want him back and didn't want to continue. But you're right. It's like, where's the price point? But this really is a non-starter because it, as has been reported, initially in terms of the interest, yes, the interest is from the Warriors side of things. But Kevin Durant is not looking for a reunion with the Golden State Warriors. And while certainly there's no trade clause in his deal, the Nets aren't sending him to a place that he doesn't want to go. So would the Warriors explore it? Yes. Is there possibly the best deal that could be made coming from the Warriors for Kevin Durant for the Nets? Yes. But the chances of it happening are highly, highly unlikely because you'd have to convince Kevin Durant that he should break bread once again with the Golden State Warriors. And I don't see that relationship being resoldered on KD's end of things. So
where works? Is there I don't think Miami is equipped to, they could give you enough in return because they're not giving up Jimmy Butler, and I don't want Tyler Hero, and Bam's not a true scorer. So, I mean, who's equipped to make this work, in your opinion?
Boston is the ideal spot because they have the requisite talent to give up and still be solid. They have the culture, and they're one step away, and that is also appealing. Miami is too for the same reason. It's and I throw Phoenix in there as well. It's going to a place that needs that last piece, much like Golden State looked when KD came on board, except for one important distinction. Warriors had already won a championship. So the argument could be made and was made in hindsight that, well, they would have won even if they hadn't gotten KD. Boston, Miami, and Phoenix being on the doorstep, they all offer the idea that we couldn't win a championship and KD could walk in and be the closing piece. But if I look at the Boston Celtics, everything that they have in terms of culture, coaching, and most important, being able to give up a little bit of talent and still be able to play. Now, Miami, to your point, I don't know that they can make that deal. Phoenix, I'm concerned about where Chris Paul is health-wise.
Yeah.
I would say the same for Kyle Lowry with Miami. Boston, for the most part, is all their important pieces are young or in their prime. So you could flip a Jason Tatum and a Derek White and a couple of future picks and still be whole and still have your culture.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, I was saying this, people confuse talent with franchise player. There's some guys that are just talented. I would never build my franchise, even in his prime around James Harden. He wasn't trustable. But I think he's a great player. He's a Hall of Famer. Same with Westbrook. I felt that even when he won the MVP. I'm like, it's just, he plays one way, head down. He's going to age poorly. He can't shoot. But he's a great statistical player. And I said, 3 years with Kevin Durant, 2 strange moves. Leaving Golden State was strange. And then suddenly bailing on Brooklyn's odd. Is that I feel like he's more in the AD Kawhi class now. He's a franchise enhancer. Giannis I'll build around. Steph I'll build around. Lucas I'll build around. I'll still build around Jason Tatum. But it's not all talent to me. And I think there's a quirkiness with Kevin Durant that he's more now. Have basketball, will travel. 28 points a game, will travel. I think he's more enhancer than franchise player to me. Your thoughts?
What Kevin Durant is unpredictable. He's a great player, but he's unpredictable. And to your point, I don't know that I want to build around someone who is unpredictable. Oklahoma City did a great job of, first of all, containing everything that went on in Oklahoma City. But those of us who have covered KD and the league since he was in OKC knows that this was always an element to him. There's a saying, anytime you talk to GMs around the league or executives or your sources in terms of trying to find out what's going to happen with KD, they're like, who did he talk to last? Because that's going to be the influencer on what he's thinking in the moment. And when you don't have an independent thinker, if you have somebody who was always influenced by the last influence, then it makes it very tricky to predict exactly what they're thinking or what they're going to do. But both Oklahoma City and the Golden State Warriors were very good at being able to contain everything that was going on. And so it didn't get out to the level that we're seeing with the Brooklyn Nets, because the Brooklyn Nets simply don't have that kind of infrastructure to be able to contain it. So I'm with you. And this is the challenge with Kevin Durant, because I respect everything about him as a player, how he's developed himself as a player. But it's that unpredictable person side of him where I can see it's very challenging to try to build something that's sustainable with him as the centerpiece.
So Kyrie Irving, Jeannie Buss had a tweet. I don't think it was a shot at LeBron. I think she was sort of setting the table up for Kyrie Irving. What do you make of Kyrie to the Lakers? I think it's fascinating. I'll watch it. What do you make of it?
Well, those around the Lakers that I know agree with you that this was just a matter of setting the table for Kyrie coming in. Kyrie's already in L.A. Now, he's worked out here before, but indicators I'm getting is that he's here and he's not leaving, and eventually that deal is going to get done. It troubles me that Jeannie would tweet this, because it makes her look weak in looking at, I wish Kobe was here. I wish there was someone that could say what I can't. You're the owner of this team. You're the leader of this franchise. Don't give anyone the impression that there's something that you can't do or that you're not able to do. This is a situation that you can't solve, that you wish that Kobe was here to solve. Well, Kobe's not here. You are. It's your responsibility. And in general, things that are this complex, I don't like anybody. I don't think it serves anybody to be tweeting subliminal messages, but certainly not the owner of a franchise as storied as the Los Angeles Lakers with where they are. Now, the problem is because this can be interpreted in many ways, but the heart of it is I have a selfish team, and we need to eradicate some of that selfishness. Now, is it a shot at LeBron? Is it a shot at Russ Westbrook? Who's it a shot at? It's a shot at somebody, subliminally. And not knowing that is the scattergun that an owner or anybody, quite honestly, in a position of authority can't afford to have. So I wish I could tell you exactly who it's aimed at. In reading it, it's aimed at somebody. Something is I would, in one respect, I believe it's aimed at her fan base and Lakers fans to say, I'm struggling. I'm not happy with where we are, and I wish that Kobe was here to explain what it is that I'm not happy about.
Ric Bucher, happy 4th. Have a great day with your fam. Good seeing you, man.
Happy 4th. Figuring out what KD's going to do is almost as hard as figuring out where Colin's going to be next. Vacation-wise, but I can't wait to find out.
World traveler. Good seeing you, my man. Antoine Walker played in the NBA for 12 years, has himself a championship. So let me ask you, sometimes, as you know in the NBA, when you're winning, it's just way easier. It doesn't matter if the weather's bad in Milwaukee. If you're winning and you get off that flight, it feels good to win. Golden State would be perfect for Kevin Durant. They wouldn't have to gut the franchise. They'd win. He's been there before. Steph and he got along fine. Do you think he would go back there if he was traded? Do you think he'd be happy? Could he stomach a team that doesn't need him? He needs them, arguably, more than they need him. Do you think KD would say, okay, I'll sign off. I'll go to the Warriors?
I think he'll go back in the heartbeat. I think this is the type of situation he's looking for. You think right away, as soon as the rumor came out, he said the Phoenix Suns, who won 64 games, the Miami Heat, who lost in the Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals. So obviously he wants to be with a team that's fighting for championships or in championship contention. So I think he'll go back in a heartbeat.
You know, Antoine, he's a unique personality. I said I'm not a psychologist. I'm not going to try to figure it out. Okay, so, but he suddenly left Golden State. Now suddenly wants out of Brooklyn. And I said he's more of an enhancer. Steph, Luka, Tatum, Giannis, I would build around. They're predictable. He's just super talented. He can enhance me, but I'm not gutting my franchise for him. I'm not. He's unpredictable. I just don't know what he thinks when he wakes up. Is that fair?
I think it's fair. I think one thing that's unique about KD's situation right now, he has 4 years left on his deal. Usually guys, make decisions like this, maybe a year left on their contract or 2 when the team has to step up and max him out. He's already pretty much maxed out. So any team that takes a chance on him needs to be fighting for a championship right now. They're not in the rebuilding mode. They're trying to win right away, and he's a quick fix. For me personally, I know you hear about all these teams. I wouldn't mind if he's going to leave and play somewhere. I wouldn't mind seeing him with Memphis, with a John Morant who's going to probably struggle to get another big-time star there. I look at New Orleans, probably joining those guys. Or maybe one of those guys. I know you probably won't be able to keep both of them. But I like to see him in one of those situations. I don't want to see one of these super teams put together because I don't think that's going to be great for basketball. I would like to see him go with maybe a team that has 1 star on it, and he can try to get them over the hump. And it makes it more interesting basketball for me.
So Kyrie to the Lakers, it does make a lot of sense. He can play. I mean, he really is a perfect teammate and we saw it before. He can play off the ball. So LeBron's a great passer, and he can take those LeBron passes and make threes. He can play on ball. He can be the point guard when LeBron misses games or is not on the floor. And the Lakers don't really have a point guard because Westbrook's not – it doesn't work. So I think Kyrie's perfect. Do you trust Kyrie if he's a Laker? Do you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to sign him. I'm going to bring him in and sign him to a long extension? I don't, but I do think he's a magic pill here to make the Lakers relevant again. So he does have some leverage. He'll be, the first day on the floor with LeBron, you'll be like, oh, that works. It won't be hard to figure out. But at some point, would you extend him in Los Angeles?
The thing is, the franchise, we know the franchise is about winning championships. It's got to be where LeBron's head at and what he wants to get done over the next couple years. If LeBron's saying, hey, we want to win championships, then obviously I'm going to lock in the Kyrie Irving. And not saying that I'm the biggest Westbrook fan in the world. I think differently than a lot of people like yourself, Colin, about Westbrook. But if the move is made, I think you do have to lock into him. I am worried about Kyrie Irving and what he believes off the court and the things that he has going on. You don't know when he may break down on you. And I don't know if basketball is number one in his life. So that's something that, you have to think about. But one thing we know for sure is that him and LeBron James plays really well together. Kyrie's still an elite player in this league that can arguably be known as a top 5 point guard in this league easily when he's playing basketball. So he does give you the best chance to compete for championships. So I would love to see it as a basketball fan because those guys had great success together. But if it doesn't happen, I'm not giving up on Westbrook and them being able to get it done with a Westbrook either.
So, it's funny from the Warriors' perspective. So I have said this. If it was just Wiggins and Wiseman for KD, I'd make the move. But if you made me give Wiggins, Wiseman, Poole, and a draft pick, I wouldn't make the move. I'm not gutting my franchise. But I mean, Wiseman I haven't seen play, and Wiggins is a very good player. KD's great. But KD's older. KD's had more injuries. How much would, if you were the Warriors, because I do believe there's reports now that they are sniffing around at KD. They're talking about it. How much would you give up for him?
Off the Golden State roster, I would give up Draymond Green, Jordan Poole, and if I had to give Wiggins away, I wouldn't want to part ways with him, but if that was the deal breaker, I'll take that chance. I just like those young guys, Kuminga, Wiseman, Moody, and you put them with a Steph, Clay, and KD, they can get the best out of those guys because there wouldn't be a lot of pressure on them. All they would have to do is contribute. But if you put Steph and KD together, the way both of those guys are playing right now, and Clay is getting back to his old form, I mean, they're looking at contending for another 2-3 titles.
Yeah, that's kind of how I look at it. So you'd let Draymond go. Heart and soul, you'd let him go.
Yeah, at this point, KD's in the prime right now of his career. KD can give you 36 to 40 minutes a night. You don't necessarily – Draymond's inability on the offensive end starts to hurt you after a while. So you get rid of that problem. I know the heart and soul and the little things that he does for the team, but I like Kuminga. I like Moody and Wiseman. Those guys can step in and do some of that dirty work. But with that elite three-guard offense those three guys can put together, I like Golden State with them.
Antoine Walker, Fox Sports, NBA analyst. Great seeing you, man.
All right, thanks for having me.